Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, and Captain America Iron Man. Technically, I started with issue 2. Oh, don't worry, I went back and read issue 1, but I didn't find out about this until today. So I go and I look at I'm like, what is this? Iron Man, Captain America Iron Man, what the frig? So I found issue 2 first. Now, if you've seen my reviews before, you know how I am. I want to make sure that this book is going to be good for not only people who've been following the series, but for brand new readers. What if somewhere in the world this is somebody's first comic book, issue 2? Would they be able to follow along? Would they understand? Would they be interested enough to go back and get issue number 1? I know, but you're not going to know until after we talk about who made this comic book. Let's get started with that. The writer is Derek Landy. The artist, Angel Unzueta. If I'm butchering the name, I apologize. But wow, good stuff. Good. Artist, Rachel Rosenberg. Letters, VC's Joe Caramagna. Cover artist, Alex Ross. And there's a couple of variant covers out there. Unfortunately, one of the variant covers is not done by Angel Unzueta and Rachel Rosenberg, which is a damn crying shame. That's also going to be the only complaint that I have about this comic book. For the most part, I mean, everything about this book, every complaint that I have is minuscule if it's even on the radar, right? It's barely a blip. You can mistake it for the grass. I don't like that. Look, let's just get started with the art in this comic book. For both issues, the art in this book is out of this world. It is amazing. It is spectacular. I sit here and I'm looking at the art in this comic book, especially with issue 1, but there was no slouching in issue 2. It's just issue 1, it was literally putting your best feet forward, right? Your best shoes for, I don't know what the hell you want to call it, but you put your best foot forward. That's the idiom. There are scenes in there where Iron Man is talking to Captain America and you see Iron Man's face, and in the very bottom of his chin and just above where his lip would be, you see Captain America's head, the reflection. That's something that you only, for the most part, see in the cover of a comic book. This guy didn't get allowed to, Angel Unzueta was not allowed to do the cover of this comic book. And he said, well, then I guess every image in this comic book is going to have to be cover worthy. And for the most part, it really was. The interior art of this comic book literally makes me turn around and say, we did not need Alex Ross. I know, Professor Bill, you're coming on sacrilegious words there. You're going to be booted by the church. F the church. I'm telling you straight up, this was out of this world how good the art in this comic book was. I looked at this and I said, it is a crying, travesty-ridden shame that they threw Alex Ross on this. He was completely unnecessary. He could have and should have been a variant cover. He should have been the cover B in this comic. I'm dead serious about this. Because let's be realistic. If you're in love with Alex Ross, I'm in love with Alex Ross. I may be having his babies at sometime soon. I'm just saying, at least that's what it's going to say on the paternity suit. My point is, I'm so silly sometimes. The point is, the art in this comic book was so amazing that literally, if I believe that they should have been, and I typically believe, Angel Unzueta should have been the cover artist on this, since he was the interior cover artist. But it's not like they had to hide anything. You didn't need to tempt us with Alex Ross. You could have very simply said, hey, do you think you could try and paint a cover the way that Alex Ross was? Let's see if we can trick some people. Because I don't think anybody would have been offended. I think anybody would have looked at the cover and just right away, oh, okay, oh, an Alex Ross. I got to get the Alex Ross. You buy the Alex Ross. You go home and you realize, hey, that's not Alex Ross. Who is this guy? Because to be entirely honest, that's how I found out about Art Germ, Stanley Lau. That's how I found out about Art Germ. Because I said, oh, this looks like an Alex Ross cover. Wait a second. This is very different. I think this would have been a very pleasant surprise. The art inside of this, I had to take a bit of a double check and say, wow. because it did feel just a little tiny bit like Kingdom Come. It did feel a little bit, tiny bit like, what is it, Hidekai, the Wonder Woman book. It felt like the interior work of Alex Ross. I cannot talk enough about how amazing this art was. So much so that I'm actually going to talk about something that I didn't like in the art in this in the comic book in issue number 1, where we first see Captain America. All right, you hear him on the thing, and it was oh god, the setup on this was so perfect. The setup on this was movie like. No, it was comic book like, actual comic book like. Where Iron Man is having some problem dealing with this dude and a bunch of things happening, and also you hear, "Hey Tony, do you need some help?" And he replies, "Are you in the area?" Well, it already says Captain America, Iron Man. That's the two people build, and that's the title of this comic book. So I'm just like, Captain America's going to show up in the best possible way. So are you in the neighborhood? You can say I was dropping by. Oh my God. He comes down on the side of an overpass. Now, on a motorcycle. There's skid marks on the side of the bridge. Look, I've never driven a motorcycle off the side of an overpass in a freaking city or whatever. But I swear to God, right now, in my mind, that's exactly how it would look if it happened. Holy crap, I was excited. I was giddy-ish. All right, I felt like a freaking kid again reading this comic book, just looking at the art alone from the comic book. I'm reading this, I'm going, holy crap, this is amazing. The scene and everything, it was fantastic, but the upper right-hand corner, yeah, the part where it had one light, then it had another light, which was a different light because Captain America was on the overpass, now he's on the ground. So it had to have been a different light, even though they overlap on each other, but they overlap perfectly. Behind the overpass, there's another light coming over. The clouds look perfect. There is no wasted space in this comic book. Even when you have no real background, just like a background color, it's not one color. Rachel Rosenberg comes in this, and she's just like, oh yeah, I can't slouch on this. I can't slouch. And she usually doesn't, right? Rosenberg is fantastic at putting together really good background colors, right? But in this, it's clear to me, it's evident, don't tell me otherwise, don't spoil the illusion for me. I want to remain in kayfabe if that's the case. This literally felt like she said to herself, Angel is on this book, I need to step up my game. I need to dial up to 11. In fact, can I squeeze out a 12? Because holy crap, this book, the art in this was essentially perfect. Now, why am I mentioning that scene when I said there's something about that scene I don't like? Look at Captain America's shield. You might say Captain America doesn't look perfect in that scene. It's because of the shield. When you look at the shield doesn't look 3D enough. Everything else in the scene, it looks like it's moved. And look at Captain America. Try and put your hand over the shield. He looks better if you put your hand over the shield. I'm dead serious. He's jumping down. He's leaning forward. That's the way that muscles go. When I used to have muscles when I was younger, that's the way that pectorals will go. They'll actually cave in a little bit here because that's your shoulders. There's no real muscles there, right? It looks big when you're like this and your chest comes up. But when you're doing like one of these and your shoulders are more forward than your chest, there's going to be the line there. If you want to know what it looks like, look at that freaking image because that's exactly what it looks like. It's fantastic. The colors seemed a little bit muted there. It would technically work because you look at the lighting. You look at what kind of lighting it is. The daylight is behind. The daylight is coming through his left armpit. It's street lighting that's in the front, which would dampen it a little bit. It would dull. They would mute the colors just a little bit. Angel and Rachel knew what they were doing with this comic book, but the shield did not look three-dimensional. It looked 2D. It looked like it was a drawing of a shield as opposed to an actual three-dimensional, adamantium, in this case, vibranium. It's not adamantium. The vibranium frisbee, as Ultron would call it, right? That was a lot just to try and do a stupid line. Anyway, the point is, it didn't look very disc-shaped. It looked very flat-shaped. It's a difference between a circle and a sphere, right? Circle, sphere, right? a cone, or excuse me, a triangle and a cone, right? This was the shield in that image, and even in the next image, not the first image more than the second image, but that image, the shield is the only thing that took away from that image, from that being just one of the best images that I've seen in a comic book by somebody who I've overlooked a lot in comic books. And when you look back at the work that this son of a gun has done, that Angel Unzueta, doing the best I can, has done. Secret Files Origins, that's some DC stuff. No slouch there. He did some Death of Wolverine. He did some Flash and some Impulse, some Green Lantern Corps, Legion of Superheroes, my God. And he did some Secret Empire. He's also the one who did all the Ravencroft stuff, which I don't think I once complained about the art in there. In fact, I remember being very hyped about it. The guy's been around for a while. The longest run of Wolverine ever, a character who Chris Claremont says is clearly not a solo character. He's a team character. You don't always know what you're talking about, Chris. Volume 2 of Wolverine, which went from 1988 all the way to 2003. Volume 2. Holy crap, he did some work on there. This guy's been around for a while, you know? And the Avengers standoff, a lot of the stuff, man, it's fantastic. Seeing this guy do this work is absolutely fantastic. I was in love with the art on this. I don't usually, like my reviews can usually end at about this timestamp, right? But I'm too busy talking about how great the art is. I told you I could talk about this forever. The art in this was fantastic. All right. Angel and Rachel, they should take a well-deserved bow after this. This was fantastic. The art in these two comic books. I would buy the next 3 issues just based on the art alone. How about Derek Landy on the story? Actually, it was really good. It was really amazing. I talked about the little, are you in the neighborhood? There were multiple scenes like that. Look, the conversations. Derek Landy is no Kelly Thompson as far as dialogue is concerned. Kelly, in my opinion, does dialogue better than anybody else. All the characters in all of her books that she does, they sound like real human beings. But I am damn well mentioning Derek Landy in the exact same conversation because he's right there. He's right there. The conversations felt real, right? I'm reading some of this stuff and the conversation, like what's the name of the character, the female in this? I saved some of this crap, but I literally saved too much. I saved way too much stuff. Damn it, man. Damn it, Jim. Anyway, whatever the frick her name is, not Angel. Damn it. It's important to know. Veronica Eden. There we go. Veronica Eden. Oh, there we go. Whose first appearance was in Falcon and Winter Soldier, also by Derek Landy. Art by Federico Vincentini. I can't remember if I actually read that or not. Somebody go and check to see if I did a review on it, because there's about a 80% chance that I reviewed the book if I'd read it. So there's that. Anyway, they introduced the character. So continuing with that story, that's fantastic. I love it. 51 is in this. 51 was created by, whatever, who cares? But the writer was Chris Yost, and this was in the second volume of Scarlet Spider, issue number 7. That book may go up in value now because of this. Genuinely, because I can see that happening. Veronica Eden was actually a really interesting character in there, and I haven't gone back and read that Scarlet Spider series, so but I'm going to. Let's just heads up, I'm going to be going back and reading that, because all of this is fantastic. I might actually just wind up buying the comic book off of eBay. Hey, if the character goes someplace, boom, there you go. I've often said how the 51 State Initiative is one of the best failed storylines ever, because they were amazing. They were really good stories, and it's a great concept. They've even referenced it surreptitiously in some of the Iron Man movies, right? I want to, and the Avengers movies. I want an armor in every state. That's the 51 state initiative, because he talked about that in the comic books, putting in armor in every state, and then having a team there also. Just the idea of really expanding what he wanted to do, keeping everybody safe when he was the director of S.H.I.E.L.D., Tony Stark I'm talking about. The idea that they're continuing with this, all those characters who they introduced around the time period of the 51 or the 50 state initiative, all those lost characters, many of them were really good characters. Some of them were like Prairie Girl, whatever her name was in this. I don't know what the hell her, anyway, that probably is her name. She was kind of goofy. But the other characters, no, actually really good ideas. A lot of fantastic ideas they had, and just kind of left there, hoping that somebody would remember them. Like, you remember the movie Toy Story, right? Just a bunch of toys left lying around, hoping that some kid was going to come by and play with them at some point. Andy, don't worry, Andy's going to come back. We've got to be here for Andy. And Andy grew up and got hit by a bus. Andy ain't coming back. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully some other kids will find these toys in a freaking used, I don't know, lawn sale or something like that, garage sale. But for the love of God, here's all these characters, and finally a couple of them are being used. A handful of them are being used in this. Good! That's what we need. We need more new characters. I've been complaining DC is going to fall apart because they're not using new characters. Strictly Batman! And the few characters that they do have, let's make them gay or trans or something else. And it's like, there are new characters who you can create and give them their own legacy. Make us love these characters. Don't try and make a statement. Just make them human. That's all we need. That's exactly what happened in this comic book, in these 2 issues. You see characters show up. They've got strengths. They've got weaknesses. They screw up. They kick ass. They're human. Even the alien ones, they're human-esque. I enjoyed reading this comic, even if the art was bad. Fortunately, it wasn't. Even if the art would have been bad, I would have still enjoyed reading, and I would have just, I can make my eyes just completely skip over the art and just read the story, you know? Even things that seemed redundant. Case in point, you're never supposed to have Captain America hanging by the side of a freaking car, hanging on the side of the car while it's driving, and some girl, let's just say Veronica in here, firing at the wheels of a bus. They pop, and now the bus is going to be going all over the place. You never say something like that in a comic. You never have Captain America call out, "Hey, this is what just happened," or have the narrator box do it, because we can see it in the art. It's redundant to do that, but that happens in this comic book. Why am I not complaining about it? Because he's talking to Tony. He's explaining what happened. Certainly, there could have been a better way to do that. It could have been just slightly less redundant. But this is what we have, and it's something that I can talk about without complaining about it, without criticizing it too much, right? Certainly it could have been tightened up a little bit better. The words could have been used a little bit differently, whatever, but maybe a sound effect so we can see this stuff. Tony, the bus is going out of control. Also, I don't like the idea that Captain America jumped on that bus just to calm people down, just so that, what's his name could have... It's like Iron Man could have handled the situation better on his own if Cap didn't show up, because Veronica would have gotten away anyway, and Iron Man would have at least gotten 51 taken care of. This way, half of the problem is already over, right? Instead, Cap jumps on the bus and says, "Iron Man, I need you over here." Excuse me. So, Captain America showing up, the way that happened, Captain America showing up actually made the situation worse, not better. That's not what I want to see from a Captain America. Yeah, having girls flirting with him, like old women flirting with him. I used to have a poster of you on my wall. Sure, it wasn't directly above your bed? Hey, I'm not here to judge. Maybe you had a mirror up there. I don't know, right? But anyway, the idea is that I think it would have been better if Captain America would have jumped on the bus and at least gone over and taken the controls. Like maybe the bus driver got hurt and then he could, try and help out the bus driver afterwards. Like he could have done that stuff on his own. And then Iron Man jumps over to, it's like, it looks like you needed help. And Cap could have said, yeah, actually I could have. There was no point in him jumping on the bus. There was 0 point in him jumping on the bus if he knew that Iron Man was just going to get there anyway. So yeah, that didn't really work for me too well. But it worked enough. It at least got some character dialogue. It showed some trust there. So it failed on one part, but it at least succeeded somewhere else. It showed that they trust each other, right? It could have been done better. They could have gotten to arrived at that conclusion in a better way, in a better storyline purpose way. But it still at least got the point across. They trust each other. They trust each other with their lives. They trust each other with the people who they're trying to save. They trust each other with their lives also. So fantastic. Mission succeeded as far as I'm concerned. Everything else in here, the dialogue, the conversations. Captain America punched Veronica at one point. Perfect. She was a bad guy. Decker, knock her the hell out, right? They still showed the idea like, hey, we have to protect people, but she was treated as an equal. Look, I don't really feel the need to get into, classical actual feminism where women said, treat us equally, don't treat us as a lesser, don't treat us as a victim. And unfortunately, that's what a lot of youth-propelled feminism is based on. It's not proper feminism anymore. It's I'm a victim, as opposed to, I am woman, hear me roar. It's I am woman, I've been wronged. I'm not interested in that version of feminism. And I don't think that most strong women are interested in that either. In this particular case, you got a bad guy. It seemed like they were trying to hold back. They were trying to not just deck her. All these guys with guns, they were decking them and whatnot, right? She wasn't posing an actual threat. She even indicated at one point, hey, I would never shoot anybody, but then the arms come, hey, the arms are working again. And Captain America's just like, I'm done with this. You actually saw blood come out of her mouth and everything. I'm like, this is an equal opportunity comic book. No, I do not agree that women should be punched in the face. All right. What I am saying is she was a bad guy and a threat had to be stopped. And if the way that you stop a threat to save people is by punching a woman in the face, you got to do what you got to do. You got to do what you got to do. All right. I thought that was fantastic. I loved what they did in this comic book. Landy has not done as many comic books as Angel has, but the books that he's done the Black Order, and everything else has mostly been Secret Empire related. He did some work in Secret Empire. He did some work or I think he did the book itself for Secret Empire Uprising. And of course, Falcon and Winter Soldier, Civil War, choosing sides. So he did a thing of that. Whatever, it is what it is. It was the main book that was annoying, the Bendis books that were really annoying. All the other stuff that was around it wasn't necessarily bad. It was just, let's try, I've been tasked with doing this assignment, so let's just do the best I can, right? Guys, at the end of the day, I'm literally saying that there is zero reason for you to not jump aboard this. I believe it's a 5-issue limited series. There is zero reason for you to not buy these comic books. They're fantastic. They're absolutely fantastic. And I don't think anybody's going to complain about some of the stuff that they read in this comic book, be it the writing, the art, the colors, the letter. I mean, everything in here is fantastic. And any minor complaints they've done, literally, they could just dust in the wind with how fantastic this was. This genuinely felt like I went and I followed Derek and Angel on here. I was already following Rachel. I went and followed them today on Twitter. I want to see what stuff they're going to be doing in the future. I want to see, them announce that they're going to be doing something else in the future. I'm hoping at some point freaking Derek and Angel, I hope, but Derek at the very least gets assigned, go write Iron Man. Let's get somebody who actually understands the character. And I looked on his Twitter really quick, and he's like, yeah, I just read a buttload of, I'm putting in buttload, but it's a unit of measure any parent knows. If you've ever changed a diaper, you know exactly what a goddamn buttload is, all right? My point is, the guy just got finished writing or reading a whole bunch of Iron Man in order to write this comic book. Yeah. He doesn't get a congratulations on that, because it's what you're supposed to do. That's like the bare minimum, all right? the thing where people should just be like, you're gone. You'll never work in this building again. You'll never work in this town again, right? You'll never work in Marvel again. Is when you're just like, oh, I got to write Iron Man. Yeah, cool. I love Robert Downey Jr. Let's make. Yeah, it was a good representation of Iron Man. But if you haven't read the character in the book, what the hell? There was even the mention in here. They thought that 51 was Iron Man because one, haven't seen 51 in forever. It's very realistic that you would see this person think it might be Iron Man, confuse him with an Iron Man. Why not? Especially from a distance, not like you're seeing up close of the alien face. You're seeing this dude flying up on top with some kind of armor. Yeah, that's Iron Man or War Machine or one of those people, right? But on top of that, they even not dismantle it, but they kind of discredit it a little bit. It's like, you sure that's Iron Man? Like, yeah, he's always changing his armor, right? Yes, he is. I've often wondered myself, just side note, Iron Man keeps on showing up. He's got to maintain those same colors. Aside from the Silver Centurion armor, you know what I'm saying? Bob Layton. Aside from the Silver Centurion armor, he's always kept the same colors, right? The red and gold. So that's the only way that they can recognize this guy at all. The Aqua armor is also completely gold, and then the stealth armor, which is, yeah. But aside from that, red and gold. So, but I love the idea that these guys mentioned it, you know? He's always changing his armor. Guys, I could talk about this comic book for another hour. These two issues for another hour. I genuinely could. I almost feel like I should have a class on all the things that were done right in these two issues. I really hope that Derek is able to stick the landing in the final issue. I don't care if the story's supposed to turn into something else, or it's just supposed to end here, or just, you know, whatever. I hope that the landing, I hope that he just lands and then just comes right back up. Bing! And I'm hoping for at least an 8. I'm, of course, wishing for a 10. But I would be so beyond satisfied if it ended with everybody holding up 8 on the little cards. Because, wow, right now, this is the absolute best comic book that I'm reading current day. This is the absolute hands down best. And that's by a long shot. The team that's on here, I'm loving what I'm reading. It feels like they know what the hell they're talking about and drawing and everything. And wow, I could not ask for better. I simply could not. Guys, in case you didn't yet, go frickin' buy the comic book, and I'll talk to you guys later. Like the video, watch an ad. Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed. Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, and Captain America Iron Man. Technically, this is issue 2, but I'm going to review issue 1 also. The trick is, if you know me, you know me. You know that if I find out about an issue that's already been launched, right? No. Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Captain America Iron Man, issue number, technically 2. It's actually 1 and 2. I'm going to be doing a review for both of them. But if you know my reviews, if you know my stylings, then you understand that I didn't find out about this issue until issue 2 came out. No. Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, and Iron Man, Captain America, fuck you. Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University. I can't remember the name.